everyone. I just thought I'd do a quick update on Bitcoin because I haven't done one for a while, and really this chart just says it all as to why I haven't done one for a while. There's been plenty of scalps in here. It's actually been a really nice scalping environment, but not a good, not good obviously for swings. We haven't been getting swings, but I prefer scalps, so it works for me. But yeah, so this is Tensor charts, and it just shows the heat map of the walls. And as you can see, since we've been running in this range since last week, we've had walls above at 44k most of the entire time. They pull them out when it drops. Then they've come in later in the week or in the last 5 days, a bit lower, which got tapped into yesterday. So that lower wall got taken out. And then to the downside, 42,300 yesterday. Had just held price, didn't get tapped into, and there's one at 42k. So basically we just got walls holding us in this range, and they're not very big walls. They're only 100, 200 Bitcoin, which compared to what we saw on some of the up move when 1,000 Bitcoin walls were being put in, which were clearly manipulating price, whereas these can just be legitimate buyers and sellers, or essentially the price is just being held in the range for now. So thus, I haven't really wanted to, well, it hasn't been anything worth updating. I mean, nothing has changed. So for me, you can see we're just forming this tight triangle. And I was thinking back actually when I was looking at this to some of the PA, it was when we came up from 3k to 10k, there was a lot of this PA where we went up, made a triangle, then we did a rounded top and then took out the bottom of the triangle. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. But yeah, you just need to see which way it breaks, and it's difficult because so yesterday we made a 12-hour demand. There's been no new days. We're holding this daily demand down here. We obviously haven't had the wick into there. The heat maps and liquidation levels still align quite nicely with having a wick just below 42k. And then also just above 44k, which would be this orange level here. So that would be the level to look for a stop hunt if we get one. Or that circle, like I say, and I've been indecisive obviously on the zones here. I've got the preferred zone up here, which was a daily supply, and I think there's a point of control up there, and there's a yearly level, so there's various things up here. For possibility of shorts, and the 70 fib on the linear scale is up there, or the 61 is lower on the linear and the log. So yeah, there's a few different levels up there to be watching out for, same as I've said previously. Then here the top of the 3-day, and then this there's an hourly zone I think down here that hasn't been tested, just to take out these stops. The only thing with this one now is it has been a bit long, like I would have liked that to have happened kind of sooner. But because there are still walls and liquidation levels there, I think it's worth keeping an eye on. And then this lower one, and again, we have liquidation levels under this consolidation. So while I know quite a few people are looking for the bounce off the top, which we may get, I'd prefer it if it went through. And then the bigger picture, so that's just the local range, but the bigger picture obviously is that still we're coming off 2-weekly supply up here. We had the swing fail of 2022 high at the highs, that orange level. So this can still obviously be the bigger drop. But we're still waiting for confirmation. So on that bigger picture, we've had the up move and now a retracement, and are we going to get another up move? Or are we looking now more like this, and that's a break of structure, and this is a retest for a bigger drop? So that's the inverse head and shoulders, sorry, head and shoulders, not inverse, head and shoulders that a lot of people are drawing. And volume does support that. So yeah, my bias is, I don't know, it's still 50-50 really. So yeah, like I want to be biased down because with this top and because of the fact we're in supply, but I also would liked it to have happened sooner, you know, and I wonder if we're just going to make a giant range in here for ages. And we're still seeing quite a lot of sell-off on Coinbase, which is being absorbed seemingly by Binance and others. So Coinbase did have some buys going in, so from 26th of January for most of this last up section. So just looking at the CVD, from 26th of January, it did support this slight up move that we've had, but then as of yesterday started having some sell-offs again. But then you can see that the aggregated CBD spot is still going up, so Binance and others are still absorbing that. Futures are less good as well. I mean, there were some longs that went in yesterday. I won't go into all the detail of them. There were some longs that went in yesterday, but they went in the top section. And actually I think most of them hadn't, like, so the OI hasn't dropped enough, so actually most of those haven't been stopped out. So again, there's reasons to go lower if the longs are being targeted. And also yesterday I was checking, we look quite heavy to the long side still, so I think we had, it's dropped a little bit. So these were all over 60 yesterday. Now they're dropping down into the 50s a little bit, so maybe some longs are being taken out. But yeah, it's just, I mean, you can clearly see it's in a triangle in a consolidation, so it's just a question of which way the triangle is going to break. And yeah, the two things really you're looking for here is one, for shorts to be taken out and then the retest, get back in, or frankly that in reverse, shorts to be taken out, retest for the short side. That's generally what happens on a triangle. I mean, yes, it could just break up. So I think Korea and Korea and CME, the only thing with those is they are slightly more to the bearish side. So all of them had this 12-hour supply yesterday. Oh, sorry, not CME actually. CME had a 4-hour, but they all had a 12-hour supply yesterday. They wicked through the immediate 12-hour, both on the US dollar and Korea, this local zone, and took that out and closed back below. So generally that would mean we would take out the low, but that didn't quite happen. Additionally, on Korea, as we haven't come down and tested this 4-hour yet, where Bitcoin US dollar did. So that's slightly more bearish, as you can just see from the structure. CME similarly has made a daily supply, week 1 though, and a 12-hour supply in there. But I mean, really, these are just still ranges, and obviously you can see what we're holding below. And this was the zone on CME that I always wanted to see re-held, so it is holding it. But yeah, this triangle is always concerning because that could mean pump or dump, depending on which way it chooses to, which direction it chooses. But yeah, I would definitely say those are erring more to the bearish side right now. And then US dollar dominance. Again, we were looking at holding this daily and failing that this 4 days. So again, if Bitcoin pumps, then I would look for this to come down and bounce in there. What else? Yeah, there was a weekly level in there, but it's offset, so I haven't got it coloured in as such, but the more local level. So it again wicked through 3-day. Basically they're the same as Bitcoin in reverse, but is now holding, actually has a 2-day demand in there. So my sense is Bitcoin is slightly more on the bear side, but it's not definitive. There are no strong candles. So yes, this is a 2-day demand, sure, but it's not a strong, like this is a strong zone when you've got a big push up out of it, but that's not a strong zone. I'll have a quick look at the other BTC just to see if there's anything on here. And yeah, I do remember like the Korea and yen pairs, you know, all had this annual demand as well. So that was, yeah, that was my major reason for not necessarily being hugely bearish, with the top being swing failing, is that, yeah, Japan, China's come down into the annual zone there, and Japan, China and Korea all had that annual demand in there. GBTC again is just as indecisive really as the normal US dollar pair, that we've got a weekly supply, but we're bouncing between that and a weekly demand. So again, not much to be said there. Yeah. Nothing, just consolidating, could go either way. It again does have a little daily supply at the top here that could get tested. A quick look at the other Grayscale things while we're here. So yeah, Ether basically similar to Ether, although we're stronger off the bounce, I think here. The large caps Actually, it's not so bad. I wouldn't mind that. It's probably being propelled like by Link though. Although I think actually this last I looked at this, it was mostly Bitcoin. But that actually looks slightly better. BTC starting to come down for a third test on weekly demand. LTC again had a decent bounce, but needs to come back for a test. So it made a new weekly in there. Yeah, so I mean, sort of everything's in that. It's dropped. Now it's going to retest. Is it going to hold this retest for another wave up, or is that it? Is this still the stage we're at? BCH is looking weaker, and actually I'll get to that on the majors. Yeah, obviously that I would basically be expecting, okay, it's still on support, but I would be expecting a fall down to there. And I expect the same for the BCH US dollar pair. XLM, which is more sort of reflective of XRP, I think again is starting to look a bit ropey there. And yeah, I won't bother going into the others in more detail. So US dollar we looked at, and the aggregated pairs are probably no different. Actually look a little bit stronger. So yeah, this is that day. This is the daily supply up here. So again, the difficulty we have on these, so the US dollar tether pair versus the aggregated pairs, is the aggregated pairs are all in monthly, and the US dollar one is in 6 monthly demand, assuming that can still be calculated. Yeah, it's still being calculated regardless, but yeah, that hit a 6 month level. But then obviously coming out of weekly supply, so again, we've got that test, we've got the support at the lows, but not so much on the US dollar pair. Okay, that's at a support level, but I would prefer this lower. So, but again, which is more reliable, I don't know. But that was certainly the reason for looking for longs on this, i.e. shorts on Bitcoin previously, but now it's got to break through the first resistance, and it hasn't done that yet. And exactly the same as Bitcoin, it's got to break through support for you to then get your downtrend. Total, not looking dissimilar to Bitcoin, but obviously hasn't had the strength to get over that 4-day supply in there. And then all of these now have this 3-day demand as well. Total 2. So this is the one that includes Ether, excluding BTC, but including Ether and everything else. So again, still holding weekly demand, so we're not bearish as such, but still needs to show some better signs of movement really. And just holding the range for now. Total 3, which is excluding Ether now as well. So that, again, like some alts, is starting to look a bit more ropey. So if you listen to my alt streams, you'll know that I'm kind of got to the point that I'm a bit wary of either direction on alts, because again, we've got this demand. Alts have this demand below the 3-week, 2-week, 3-week on a lot of them, which they're testing, but they've tested multiple times. And they're also, this looks a bit stronger actually, I guess reflecting the stronger ones like Link. They've all now starting to put in 5-day, 4-day, weekly supplies above. So this has a 5-day, which it's rejecting off a couple of times. So is that 5-day going to drive us down deeper in here and into the lower zones? And I've obviously got an alert down here for the 3-month if we get that retest. But again, I'll reiterate with this, I've got a nice little channel drawn in there now, but could still get up here. And I'd like to see that, but again, my indecision remains that we've got weekly demand, which we're still holding for now. If we hold for what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, if we hold for a 5th time, then certainly we'll get a move up. So keep an eye on that as and when it comes down in the next week or so. Because like I say, a lot of alts are still holding this level. Some of the weaker ones have dropped to the lower levels, but the ones that showed strength and broke their 3-month supplies are holding here. Others is now excluding the top 10, and again reflects pretty much exactly the same thing. And I discovered this more recently, but yeah, so 5-day supply. Nothing even on the lower time frames on that. It's just holding the range. Yeah, that could go either way. Actually, don't mind it at the moment though. It doesn't look horrendous to me. We're trying to be objective, you know, we've got daily demand, it did get hit and it was unable from that daily demand to get pushed back even higher in the 5-day supply, so we'd expect it to come down at least below that wick now. Then if it does bounce, we want that push higher. But at the moment, it's varying towards down locally. So we shall see. Bitcoin dominance, which I never really like looking at, but so it had made weekly 2-week supply, which it waked up into, and then it fell down into 3-month demand, which it held for the second time. So dominance is still, dominance could still get another pump over, I think, actually. Ether dominance has that weekly demand, and again we were, well, it's sort of tapped off the top there, but similar to what we're looking at on Ether BTC, which I'll get to shortly. 3-day. Anyway, I won't go into actually. Well, how does others dominance look? Yeah, again, so that's monthly supply and just holding multiple tests. So certainly all these are looking like they could break down, but they haven't yet. It's basically what it boils down to. So equities wise, just to see what the confluence is, BitO basically looks the same as Bitcoin. Coin I think was a bit nastier, and while it might hold this orange level at the top here, or you know, a tad lower, I would expect a bigger drop on that. Square I think is less relevant now, so I won't really talk about that. MicroStrategy again had a decent sized drop and actually just missed my alert there by the looks of it. But it's got a 1-month demand and a 1-year demand. But it'll be interesting to keep an eye on MicroStrategy and also the indices, because meme trend lines there. Because obviously indices are going crazy, but I want to start seeing whether these annual zones hold. And this one wasn't a very good one, like the indices are significantly higher than where the zone is. Yeah, because if MicroStrategy starts drifting, that could give us an indication that Bitcoin's going to drift before it actually does. Mara's got a little to go before it hits that 3-month demand again, like it did come very, very close, but could go a touch lower. Riot was starting to drift through the monthly, but again, still holding this weekly support. But again, I don't love the look of that, although it is still just a correction and could just be, where is that? I seem to find the brush when I want it. It could just be like a sort of bull flag type thing going on there, but that doesn't mean it's not going to drop a bit lower into there. HUT is similar to Riot but weaker, because that bull flag obviously has gone lower already. This did get had some news issues and did also get recalibrated, which I think can affect the chart a little bit, so I'm not sure how reliable the levels are, but obviously this is looking weaker as well. HUT's my blockchain mining type thing. And then finally BTCUP and down, just to see if that gives us any. So these are clearly weaker than the Bitcoin pair, so you can see you've got the weekly supply which has rejected and has stayed lower, whereas obviously Bitcoin has come back and closed back in this weekly range up here. The BTCUP hasn't, which isn't a good sign for Bitcoin, because this should really reflect more strength, not less, I think. Then we've got a 4-day supply a little bit higher in there, and it's still, so it has swing failed the 3-day like Bitcoin. Maybe there's, I think the weekly is just lower on this. I'm just going to get rid of that so I can see what I'm doing a bit better. I think this drop was bigger on this. You can see it's come down deeper into this consolidation, whereas the US dollar pair has just bounced off the top. But this is not looking as strong as the normal US dollar pair, despite the fact it's actually come down and hit support. So that's interesting. I have used this sometimes previously when the structure of Bitcoin's been unclear. If this is clearer and this is more clear from a bearish perspective, then I'd be more inclined to not more inclined to short Bitcoin because you still want the right setup there, but just more inclined to not be long on Bitcoin probably. BTC down. Let's see what's happened here. So it had a weekly supply in there, so we've got the similar pump. So this again, this is weaker again though, so this is now kind of counter to what BTCUP is showing us. Because if BTCUP is weaker, I would expect this to be relatively stronger, and at the moment it's not. So it's falling back under that green level. Guess it's got a 2-day level here, but take that out. So again, I could see another little drop on this. Actually, that does kind of coincide. So I'd like to see this drop and hit the daily, and then where Bitcoin is when that happens. So I might actually set an alert there just to see. Oh no, run out of alerts again. I have to set the technical alert rather than the price alert. 1 day demand. So I'm going to set that alert there, because then if Bitcoin gets the pump, then this should drop into there, and then I'd like to see where Bitcoin is when and if that happens. So that's an interesting one. And then BTC up then potentially could go up to this 5-day. Is it going to go all the way up there? Debatable at this point. Not for, if that probably won't go all the way up there if BTC down is going to hold this level. ETHUP obviously is again significantly weaker, but again has a lot more space. And ETHDOWN not dissimilar to BTCDOWN, but again has space to drop and space to rise. So, and yeah, similar with this Ether pair, like again, we prefer down here on Ether or up there rather than trading. Well, this is still trading support here, so that's fine. So you should be long on this for the moment, but okay, and that's it. I'm going in more detail than I want. So Ether very quickly is definitely obviously looking stronger than Bitcoin in the last couple of days. We've had Ether BTC make a sort of double bottom, rounded bottom, or Adam and Eve bottom, I think is the traditional name, coming up into here, so that's better. ETH itself, so yesterday everything created 12-hour demand, like I said, whereas Bitcoin came right back down and closed back down, pretty much negating it, and was a much weaker demand. Ether created a better demand and thus has got a better push today, but again still hasn't managed to break the range. Yeah, so we still need a bit more, and also the CME pair doesn't look perfect. There is a CME gap left in this section at the top here, and there's an hourly supply in there, so if you want to look for a scalp short, potentially you could do that here, or again, like similar to Bitcoin, I want the bigger moves. Move my pictures over a little bit. I want the bigger moves first, but like I say, it's a little bit counter to Bitcoin in that it's a bit stronger. But then yeah, maybe we'll just get some more sideways on Bitcoin if we can get and we're going to get a close in 6 minutes. So this is going to close with an 8-hour demand. So maybe we'll see this drift back down to 8-hour and then get a bigger push later in the day or tomorrow. From a majors perspective, I added a few entries. So again, I'll just really quickly go into this and try and keep this video under half an hour. So EOS. This was the only thing I was thinking earlier, like we haven't had my joke EOS top signal yet. So while, I have said previously we're in this 3-day supply and we did swing fail it and then came down, but we're still holding demands, and we've actually created a 3-day demand, wicked into it, but it's held for now, so it's a bit trapped, and also does have a weak weekly supply. But again, like a nice top signal for the whole market would be either this coming up into 2-day supply here, so which you can see I've got alerted, or even the bigger push. And again, we're still in weekly demand here, we're still in the proper demand 2-day at base there, so this is still bullish. But those are the two levels that again potentially look for shorts if Bitcoin I'll wear it on Bitcoin when this hits, because EOS has historically been a nice top signal. Litecoin, I think I haven't added anything new on. Again, it still has this triangle, and you know, if we were to get all the way up there, that would be my preferred short on that, but there isn't anything long right now. It kind of created 3-day supply by a hair. Ripple's still looking weak. I did have this alert, as I have moved this, I did have this alert slightly higher on the 3-5 day inside, but I kind of put it down just to have a pre-alert, because there is a little daily here. This is the start of weekly supply, but obviously could go deeper inside. And then we've still got this untested 2-week at the top, but still no longs on that unless we get a significant drop. BCH was the one that was, you know, overall more bearish. So the difficulty with this, again, monthly demand, but a weak monthly demand, and we're now deep inside it. And we did have that at the bottom as well. We had a 3-month demand here, and it went all the way to the bottom before pumping. So, you know, hence why I still have the alert here for weekly demand, just in case. Or no, the monthly actually would stop there, but just in case even it takes a wick through. But anyway, as of last week, it created a weekly supply by a hair that you can see. There's this candle here, and we've also got we had a 3-day anyway, so it's just wicked up into that already, so I can't put a short there now. But yeah, keep an eye on this for potentially a bigger drop. But you know, all these wicks, I mean, it is getting bought back, but I guess the buybacks have been getting weaker, which is why I've started erring bearish. So this buyback was strong and took us up to monthly supply. This buyback was strong and took us deeper into monthly supply for a swing failure. But now the buybacks obviously haven't been able to get past local supply. And now we have weekly supply. So I'm certainly more bearish on this now. But again, overall, for a market indicator, I trade these individually, of course, but for a market indicator, EOS hitting there will be a nice one for Bitcoin topping out. Link, I updated briefly in the alt stream yesterday that we have this 3-month supply here, so just be a bit careful if any longs are in here. It's kind of just testing the top of this broadening wedge, or whatever you want to call it. Broadening wedge if I draw the bottom of it too, like so. And it's got a daily and 12-hour, 8-hour demands in there, but I've set an alert down here on the weekly. And again, my concern on this is that because the push hasn't been as big as I would have liked, and it may still be coming. So yeah, certainly watch up here. But again, we could get this, oops, excuse my drawing. We could get this sort of distribution pattern now. So just be a little bit careful, but the alert's there on the weekly demands. I want to see what happens if we hit there. If you want to scalp it, there's scalp possibilities up here, and if that breaks and flips to supply, short. But for now, obviously, it's long until we see that broken. MATIC also created a weekly supply, new one. So again, it's kind of in it now, and it's a weak one, so I haven't alerted it. But yeah, be careful of any longs on that right now. And I did relent finally when Atom created a 2-day supply here, and I put an alert in on Atom. Sorry, ADA, not relent on ADA, I relented on Atom, I'll get to that in a minute. So ADA, yeah, I put in a more aggressive alert on 2-day supply there. It's a weak one at the moment, but we are seeing the drops, and I do want this down here. So again, just trying to get the more aggressive alert possibilities in. Atom, I relented here and put, because it made a weekly supply and there's a daily there, and I've relented and put a short entry, so that will probably get screwed now just to spite me. Again, my reluctance here was this 6-month demand, you will recall. And yeah, so that, like, based on, this is quite a good example of a lot of the alts I was seeing yesterday. I was kind of, I didn't get as much done as I would like, because I was spending so much time looking at 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, many of which have been tested. But you can't, it's become, in this case they've all been tested, but then in other cases they vary. But it's very hard now to choose which one may or may not reject. Do you use the immediate one? Do you assume like, this is because now we're making double bottoms and things and holding these demands? Do we assume we're going to come deeper into the supplies? that's the one I've had up there on Atom for ages that hasn't been tested, and there could well be other 12 hours and things through here that haven't been tested. But anyway, I just relented again to have a more aggressive entry because that is now a weekly supply, fairly significant weekly supply, not strong as such, but sort of middle of the range, and now has the 2-day there. DOT was looking stronger yesterday, but has now died off again, has made a 2-day supply and is rejecting it, but still holding daily demand. Sol, we have this weekly demand. My alert is still deeper inside it, and we now have 2-day supply, so again this could still take some time, unless it wants to pick up this previous trend line. But it's got a 2-day supply now, so again it's too tight now for me to think this is even worth longing, even though the ideal would be to get over this orange line and look for the stop hunt. And finally NEAR also created a 2-day supply, so again just drifting down on these, and I don't think I've added anything other than the Atom one there. DOT already had one a little bit higher on the 61 fib. So yeah, and again it's the possibility of whether these are going to get an ABC as well. So obviously like NEAR is probably the clearest example, but we've had the drop, so we could get an ABC before another drop, and we're still in an uptrend, so we could get an ABC, make a triangle, or make a flag of some sort or whatever, and then continue up. But it's just, are we going to get that BC? Much the same as Bitcoin at the moment. So yeah, trade what you see, scalp the zones is the appropriate way to treat things at the moment. Don't assume anything's a massive breakout until you actually see that. Keep an eye on everything I've given you on the alerts, because wow, some are solid. Multi had a great performance from last night, hit the alert up here and really jumped off it. PEPECOMMUNITY, after screwing with my meme trade here, I didn't place the stop properly there. I just kind of put the tool on just for sort of somewhat of a joke, but so rather annoying. Anyone who did actually take it with that stop loss would have got stopped out, but did then pump 50%. Have added another alert there because it did make a 3-day demand. Zen also, I've talked about quite a few times, was a really interesting one because we had a possible long in here, and then I threw the short in because I didn't think it was strong. Did wick out, a bit like Pepe, and then pumped at the end of yesterday, threw in a long entry on the new daily demand that was created here, which has held for another scalp upwards, so that's pretty solid. And MATIC is also one to keep an eye out for at this point. And you can see all the others. Next has just hit a short entry, so watch for re-entries on that. FLR, I told you to keep an eye on yesterday. I've now set an alert on this 8-hour supply. Yeah, MATIC I've just kind of liked on the high time frame, so I set like a more aggressive alert. It may not hold here, I don't know, and I have got an alert here for a weekly demand if it does come lower, but keep an eye on that actually. So I don't love that it's at a 3-month, but it's an opposite 3-month level actually. It's not really, it's just a 3-month level rather than a supply. But yeah, keep an eye on MATIC to see if it holds this level, if Bitcoin allows it anyway. So that's that. All right, and I'll come back a bit later and do some more alts, and keep going down my watch list until I've finished. Have a good day.